Hello and welcome to another Pokemon Wi-Fi battle, NU versus RU. So I'm using NUs and he's using RUs and maybe one NU or so. So he goes out to his Aerodactyl and I lead out with my Sableye with Prankster, and this thing is freaking boss. I taunt him, he can't do anything, and then I burn him afterwards. He sees that the Stone Edge doesn't really do anything, so then he withdraws into his Meganium so he could get the aromatherapy up. I decide to go for a Confuse Ray to see what what his decision would be, and I go for the taunts afterward, and he is unable to use aromatherapy after that, unfortunately for him. Good for me. Seeing as he can't do anything with it, he goes into his Hentai, whatever, predicting my Will-O-Wisp and absorbs it with Flash Fire. I confuse him with Confuse Ray, and that thing hurts itself in its confusion. I can't really do anything, seeing as I can't burn it, so I switch out into my Ed, and Eddie. If you can tell, the nicknames on my team are all reference to Ed, and Eddie. And look at that. He gets a freaking Oko with the Fire Fang on my Ed, and Eddie. So I send out Wolf here, and if you're wondering, yes, it's a female. Well, Pokesav just kind of made him female for me, against my will, against Rolf's will. So here I go for the Hidden Power on his Blastoise, and I thought it was Grass, but apparently I did the EVs wrong. So, oh well. Unfortunately, I do get poisoned by the Toxic. If I did know it wasn't Grass, then I would have switched out earlier. Go to Johnny, who is my Amoonguss, so I could, kind of absorb Scalds or whatever he wants to do with that thing, and then I do Spore his Meganium after he switches out, and that thing is put to sleep. Nighty-night. So goodbye Johnny, and out comes Naz, who is my Chinchino. My plan here was to use the Wake Up Slap on that thing, but that didn't really work out, seeing as he switched into his Hitmontop. So I just slapped that thing. It doesn't do real much because, 65 base damage, not gonna really fare well. I predicted the Fake Out or the Mach Punch, so I switched out into my Sableye and decided to burn that thing with the priority Will-O-Wisp, and I'm telling you, Sableye is, really good with Prankster ability, seeing as he gets priority Will-O-Wisp, priority Confuse Ray, taunts, recover. It's outrageous. So I confuse his drug dealer Meganium, and it's a pharmacist. It tries to heal things, and I taunt it so it can't use the aromatherapy if it does wake up. Seeing as I have the safe switch, I go out to Pelipper so I could Hurricane that thing, but he does go for the Energy Ball, and it does lower my special defense. I do have a decent amount of HP left, so I decide to go for the Hurricane, but he does predict and switches out into his Bisharp. It does do a really good amount of damage, considering I'm a freaking Pelipper. A modest Pelipper, max Spec D, on a resistance on Bisharp, so that's pretty good. I was really underestimated. After I roost, I switch out so I don't start dying from poison. So here my plan was to use a Wake Up Slap to break his sub, and I was hoping that he wouldn't go for the sub, I was hoping he'd go for the Iron Head or something like that. But he goes with sub, and I try to break it, and unfortunately the Iron Head does kill me. But I am able to break his sub, which is, pretty good. Fortunately, I am forced to have to bring out Sableye again. I just love this thing so much. Go for the Confuse Ray, he hits himself in his confusion, and down goes Bisharp. Okay, after all the shenanigans, he goes out into his Hentai, whatever. I confuse it, and it does hurt itself in its confusion. Not gonna really matter because, it does have leftovers, just shrug it off. Shenanigans. I know that Jimmy was be able to sponge up damage from the thing, but he does go for the Roar and blows back out my Plank. I don't think he was really expecting that to happen, but I think it was a Roar Plank out, or Sableye out, and into something else. It didn't really work. I confuse him again, he hits himself again, leftovers again. So let's try this one more time. Send out Tangela, Eviolite, however you pronounce it, so I can start Leech Seeding that thing. But he does withdraw, predicts the Leech Seed, and goes into his Grass Pokemon so he can absorb the seeds. He gets the burns off of his Aerodactyl and Hitmontop, but I do put that thing to sleep. And my team is just really, a status team is really annoying. I go for the hidden power, I don't know what. And it doesn't do that much damage. The Fire Fang does not do a lot of damage because I do have the Evilites, which is brings me up to like, I don't know, 500, 600 defense, and that's not going to do much at all, even though it's super effective. I go for Leech Seed, get some health back, and he does switch out into his troops. I wasn't really predicting that, but I went for the Giga Drain anyway, just to get as much health back as possible. And Tangela is also pretty broken because it does have the Regenerator ability, so even if you do get it down, you just switch out and gets back its HP. I was predicting the Toxic there, and then I go out to my Pelipper who's already poisoned, so I could just get the Hurricane off on that thing. But he does use Protect, and I'm not able to do much. He's trying to Toxic stall me out, but I do go for the Roost here. And I will get my HP back, but Toxic is starting to wear down my Pelipper. He goes back out into his Aerodactyl, and it is putting some pressure on me, whatever. So Roost will be enough to take, to deal with the Toxic damage, and it'll bring me up to, close to full health, but Toxic does starting to wear out, so I do switch back out into my Jimmy, my Tangela, so I can start seeing that thing. Unfortunately, he does go for the taunt. I did predict this and went for the hidden power whatever. And if this is a super effective hit, I do believe that it is an electric. Yes, that would be hidden power electric. I did mess up there. Should have been ice. Oh well. Here I went for the hidden power again, thinking it was ice. I'm like, oh, that's not good, that's not good. But it is electric. I just may end up keeping it. Unconventional methods just do work sometimes. And I ended up taking out his Blastoise with the unexpected hidden power electric. I didn't even know that it was electric at the time, which was about 30 minutes ago. He flinches me with Fake Out and goes for the Sucker Punch, and he's just trying to get as much damage on my Tangela as possible. That's not really working out too well for him, because he does have Life Recoil damage, and I'm just reabsorbing all the HP that is taken away from me. And his Hitmontop does go down, and then I Leech Seed his Hentai, Entei, Tentacle, whatever you want to call it. Japanese people are crazy. And I go into my Pelipper, my Peak-O, my Pelican, who, speaking of pelicans, that was a very interesting video where a pelican ate some other bird. I think it was a duck or something. Very gruesome. I go for the Surf here, this thing is going to die anyway, and I try to just get as much damage as possible on that thing. Haha, 69 HP, hordy hor hor. So, 1, 2, 3, 91, never mind. Enough with the shenanigans of HP, so I go back up to Jimmy to kind of just take the Snarl. And he lowers my special attack, not a big deal. And Leech Seed should be enough to take that thing out, and he has his last Pokemon, which I do believe... Oh, no. He has 2 Pokemon left, which is his Meganium and his Aerodactyl. So here, I just have a feeling that Ruff is gonna die, so, Roost up. Something's gonna die, Roost. So, as for all the world's problems and the meaning of life, just like 44 is, he does wake up, gets a seed on me, 111 HP, never mind. And I do get the Hurricane, just to try to do as much damage as possible before this Pelipper does go down, and I surprisingly am able to take that out. Well, not really surprisingly, but I digress. His last Pokemon, which is his Aerodactyl, takes out my Pelipper, and I go out into my Sableye so I can taunt that thing and burn it. I did the taunt here because I was predicting the taunts. If he used taunts and I didn't, then I would just have to use Struggle, which is pathetic. So, I burn him, he uses Earthquake, does not do much damage because this thing is pretty bulky, 252 defense, and he just forfeits there. Good game, JD, and toodaloo.